Weekly Wednesday Warriors, welcome to another episode of the Weekly Wednesday Warrior. Yeah. Sponsored by Power Card Games and Comics here in relatively bright and sunny Port New York. My name is Skylar Hathaway.
I'm Chris Potter.
Back to the task at hand.
Yeah.
We have Godzilla War for Humanity #1. The reason why this book is on our docket this week is, first of all, I love Godzilla so much, but his comics usually suck. The only one that I could really name outside of this that was good was one called Godzilla in Hell. It was done by James Stocco.
Oh, okay.
Written and drawn by James Stocco. At least one issue of it. So, you know, that one's pretty sweet. But since then, I haven't seen anything that's been up my alley. This one's written by a guy named Andrew McLean, and it's drawn by a guy named Jake Smith. He does all the colors too, which is cool.
Yep.
Jake Smith's known for he's been in Kickstarter land for a while, doing a book called Blood Force Trauma that looks exactly like this book. His style is very, very prevalent.
Yeah.
But his stuff is really sweet, and he really, like, for artist, he captures his own colors really well with his art. He doesn't need anybody to make it look any better, which is cool. But the story of the book basically is there's this little girl and this kid, and they're in the woods, and they're in the woods in Japan somewhere. He gets attacked by a giant monster called, like, Hedorah or something like that. And Godzilla shows up, saves the day, takes down Hedorah or whatever, and the kids escape. And kids go back home, and the boy's parents are so thrilled that he's alive and he didn't get hurt or anything. And the girl's parents, her mother, doesn't really show a whole lot of care and tells her to, like, set the table for dinner or whatever or something like that. And I will admit, at this point in the story, you can tell that Godzilla's been around for a while.
Yeah.
So you have to assume that, like, these kinds of things happen. Japan just gets attacked by monsters periodically. So the one mother's response to that, I don't think it should be too surprising, because it's a perfect. If you live in a place like Gotham, where you know where there's going to be crime and villains and stuff all the time, but also your rent's $100 for, like, a mansion a month, you know, you know what you're getting what you pay for. So I think that's where this one character's mother is at. They kind of put her in a bad light, but I have a feeling that's going to come back around later. Yeah.
And she's definitely not neglectful, because when we see her in the present, she is watching after the main character's daughter.
Right.
They have a relationship still.
Right.
It's just one that's not
ideal.
It's not idyllic.
So, 25 years skip into the future, our main character, the girl, who is now a scientist, working towards cheering Godzilla as a hero. And there's this meeting that she's at, to try and talk about Godzilla and how he can be utilized. And at the meeting, she gets hired by one of her competitors, basically, to help out on, like, a big science team mission.
Yeah.
And we find out after her little TED Talk thing that the mission is to get rid of this other monster that's just showed up. She had no idea, but they've been tracking him for a while. And this thing it's got some gimmick to it. I don't remember what the gimmick was. But
it was like bio-waste, I think.
Well, that was the first one. The first, Hedorah had ruined
it was like a mushroom thing, right?
Right, yeah. So the first monster that scared our kids away in the beginning of the book had left hundreds of miles of waste. Hedorah's toxins polluted 100 miles of shoreline. It was a 3-day-long battle.
Yeah. And
their loss of wildlife and the shoreline made it so that the 100 miles are totally unpopulable. Something they don't really talk about in Godzilla movies that often, or even in, definitely not in Godzilla comics, is the ramifications of the monsters once they're not there anymore. Usually Godzilla takes down a monster, movie's over. You don't really get to hear, like, the spoils of war in that. And so that's the ramifications. Japan's been hit with monsters so often that a whole bunch of it you just can't even live in. And I imagine the part that they were living in back 25 years ago was one of the only places left that you could live in. Or, like, Japan, they even talk about Monster Island in this book. There's a lot of things in this book that have been solidified in Godzilla history that you kind of have to just swallow now.
Yeah.
And Chris, I would say you're newer to Godzilla than I am. right? Just by age.
Yeah.
And you swallowed it, no problem, right?
Yeah, no, I actually thought it was a lot of fun. Just because, like, this book has a sort of light tone. The art is very cartoony and vibrant, especially in the color palette.
And maybe
and
not even on
these
purpose
like
either.
fun monster designs and stuff. It just, you're in a world of monsters. It's not something taking yourself too seriously.
No. And the
art, everything is swallowable.
The art helps you take that seriousness away, because this book could have been drawn a lot more serious.
Oh yeah,
there's a lot of tone and theme in here that could have been drawn like a manga style book. Right?
Yeah, if they ever chose to delve on some of the themes they got into in a I don't want to say a mature way, but in like a
more
serious
light. Yeah.
It could be a like almost like speculative fiction.
Yeah, this could almost be an adult book if they wanted to take it to that level.
But it's not, because we're having fun with it.
Yeah.
We are exploring these ideas, but we're not dragging you in them. It's not a downer.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun.
And another thing I'd complain about kaiju books, monster books, Godzilla books is there's probably a monster on every other page in this book.
Yeah.
There's a lot of monster books in general. They don't do that thing. There's like a reveal usually at the end of these monster books where you see the monster, makes you want to go and read issue 2. I want to read issue 2 because this story is awesome, the designs are awesome, and I'm engaged. Yeah. I don't need a big splash page at the end of my issue to get me to read the next one.
And also, like, really intelligent choice on the part of the writer to put these characters, like, 25 years after kaijus have appeared, so we have kaiju specialists. So we have a reason why these characters are chasing these monsters and why we never have to, like, leave them or try and run from them or anything.
And the pre-existing notion that we were aware that Godzilla was a result of World War II, right? Yeah. So we even know that, all right, this is 25 years, and they had been dealing with this already in the 1980s for like 40 years now. So we're 65 years into kaijus.
Yeah.
So these things have evolved, and they've evolved so much that the new one that they're talking about is a fungus kaiju. They're used to Biomonte plants. They're used to Godzilla by reptilian monsters, animals. This is the first fungus kaiju, which I thought was such a cool idea. Yeah. It has like spores that can go out and poison people and stuff. Really cool conceptually. And so this team has to now take down this fungus thing, and obviously our main character's idea is we're going to get to Godzilla to do this. And then another one is of the opinion to basically make a Mecha Godzilla, more or less, to try and take it down. Do you remember what the book ended on, Chris?
I think it was the reveal that Godzilla was on Monster Island with his kid, like just protecting him.
Right,
so he's probably not coming.
But then he killed a crab creature.
Yeah.
That showed up on Monster Island. And then I feel like maybe...
I think she's just begging for him to show up. She's like, you've showed up my whole life. Show up one more time.
Right, right. She's all confused that he's not doing anything, I think. And, right, that is the last page. Yeah, this crab creature shows up on Monster Island to take down Godzilla's kid, and Godzilla's fighting it.
Yeah.
So we'll see what Godzilla does in the second issue after crab creature gets taken down. If he goes and helps the humans. I mean, probably. I thought the art was reminiscent of like pixel shaded video games and stuff. Okay. I thought the like color palette especially.
I got a real Dan Hip vibe from this. That very yeah. I don't know what to describe him as. Vibrant, cartoony.
Yeah.
He does a lot of animation work.
Yeah. I was thinking oh man, there's like a specific video game that I could like see the images of, but I can't think of like what it is. It even kind of reminded me of like the character designs in Scott Pilgrim a little bit.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And because they're it's adults, but they're drawn kind of short, kind of truncated a little bit.
Yeah, it's this like video game manga mashup in comic form.
Yeah,
it's really sweet.
And like Chris was saying about the monster designs, I thought those were sweet. Even though like some of them look like they were based off of toys, it still works because it adds like fun to it a little bit. You got anything to add on this, dude?
Yeah, there's a couple production things I really liked in this book.
Cool.
This is a coloring thing. There's this nice rim lighting on almost all the pages where there will be a tone, a black shade, and then this rim color. It's super appealing to the eye. It just looks good. Gets a lot of neon color on the page. There's this show by Trigger, the cyberpunk show, and they do that, and it just makes the show sing. It's so beautiful. And it's just such a good effect, and I love whenever a cartoonist does it. And the other thing they do that I really like is they tone the gutters, because it's sort of reminiscent of like an old comic, which I'm sure why they're doing it. But by doing it, white is very stark on the page, and you can use it very effectively. I think one of the best uses is Ed Piskor in Grand Design because he also tones the pages.
Right.
White sticks the hell out.
Right.
It just makes the whole page a little more palatable. Keeps
Yeah.
you on the panels. Keeps the colors a little bit more engaged.
Yeah,
It's
you're
something you learn when you do digital art to tone your canvas, like first thing you do, or painting.
The space, and for those who are unfamiliar with the gutters, is the space between the panels.
Yeah.
And more accurately, what Chris is saying is they're beige. Instead of just being on white pages, they're theoretically on beige pages.
Yeah.
Which is a pretty good idea. How about this guy's creative use of Zipatone, huh?
It's real nice.
There's actually a lot of it all through this comic, but you wouldn't notice it because he colors this thing so well that
Right.
it's like it really does blend into the background,
Is
which
it-
is a really good use of Zipatone.
I didn't make a note of it. Is it color Zipatone or is it black
I think it's
Zipatone?
all sorts.
Okay.
I think it's all sorts because it's in like really specific places.
Either way, using
After you
comics
look for it.
language all over this thing to enhance the artwork.
Look over here. Like that's black, I think. Maybe though, because it doesn't make black into the white clouds that are billowing.
Yeah.
So it might just be brown.
That's not even white.
I don't know. This is really creative. There's a reason why I made it on the show.
Yeah.
And me and Chris were talking about like Wolverine and the Ghost Rider book last week, and that didn't make it on the show. And I'd say that this book was as good, if not maybe a little bit better than that book.
But this book is so creative and different. Whereas,
Yeah.
like, you've seen
Wolverine Ghost Rider crossover since the
not
90s.
only that, but that artist on a ton of things. You know, this is a guy
Oh,
the audience might not
Jeff
know.
Shaw.
Jeff Shaw,
we were
yeah.
I was not vibing that artist.
I thought it was quite good. But
Some
again,
of
you've
those
seen Shaw.
chains.
It's been better on.
So bad, and he's done better.
Yeah.
art outside.
So if we were going to highlight a Jeff Shaw book, it would be like crossover.
Yeah.
Maybe
I feel like
ever
this,
comes
I
back.
feel like this book for Jeff Shaw was a paycheck. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure. Maybe he was like excited at one point because like
Yeah.
Wolverine Ghost Rider. It's every kid of that generation's dream.
Yeah, he's probably old enough to not be dreaming about stuff. Just need money now.
Oh yeah.
But anyway, to end this off, I'm going to name some character designs were sweet, the clothes were sweet, the facial reactions were sweet, monsters, the color application. The whole book was worth picking up. It's the best Godzilla book on the shelf. Best monster book on the shelf. Does that do it, Chris?
I do want to mention one more thing.
Do you think?
Just the best friend's character's name is Megami. This is something I could be wrong on. I got it from a manga. But from what I believe, Megami means blessing, and just her whole family dynamic, I thought that was really clever, because she is the
Yeah.
blessed one in Yuko's eyes.
Yeah.
I thought that was a great little detail.
Yeah. And I'm sure that's there for that exact reason.
Yep.
You don't pick character names unless they mean something most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
And a similar note, the main character's mother, I labeled as like a protector. It's similar to Godzilla.
Yeah.
So I thought it was interesting that our main character has these interesting relationships with Godzilla and her mother.
Yeah.
That at the end of the issue seem really similar. Godzilla's watching the kid, like trying not to help out the main character, and the grandmother's doing the same thing.
Yeah.
So there's some parallels going on in this book that don't even need to be there because it's a Godzilla IDW book, and they're there.
Yeah, they're definitely doing some mature things in the background.
Really capable stuff.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching. We'll catch you next week. Stay tuned. There should be a August 2003 posting on the Weekly Shonen Jump popping up sometime in the next week or two. Stay watching, subscribe, like, and do all that good stuff. Thanks for being here.
Have a good one.